Yes, we are live. Hi, everyone. My name is Olumide Idowu. I'm the co-founder of International Climate Change Development Initiative, an organization that is working towards making sure that young people have their voice in the space. And our aim is to build.
Hi, Professor. Can you hear Olamide?
No, I can't. Good morning. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, very pleased to meet you. I'm afraid I think we've lost our host temporarily, but I can see you and I can hear you very well.
Same here.
Where are you based, Professor?
I'm in Ibadan. I'm in the University of Ibadan.
I'd love to get to Ibadan at some stage. I've been to Kaduna and I've been to Lagos many times, but I'd like to get out and about a lot more than that and see some of your wonderful country.
Thank you so much. So where are you based? In Abuja?
Yes, I'm based at the British High Commission in Abuja.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I think
he's back.
Sorry about that. I think the network. I'm back. So sorry about that. So International Climate Change Development Initiative is a platform that try to build a climate smart generation across Africa. And we are here today to to commemorate World Wildlife Day. And here today I have our two guests that's going to be sharing a lot of conversation with us here today. And let me quickly introduce one of our guests to us. His name is Sean. He is the head of climate change and energy for West Africa, the embassy of UK embassy in Nigeria. And since August 2019, before that, I spent 6 years as the deputy head of mission to Albania and the deputy high. So I think my internet is doing somehow today. But quick one. So as I was saying, Sean is works with the minister. He is part of the UK government, and is going to be sharing with us what the World Wildlife Day has been a conversation everybody want to listen to, and what the UK government has been doing towards building a sustainable environment in Nigeria. And that is what we are going to be talking about. And also, I have another guest here, is a prof from the Department of Sociology, University of Ibadan. She read sociology at the University of Ibadan. She got a PhD in 1998.
Sorry, it's zoology.
And she's hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please. I said
can you hear me?
Zoology. Okay.
The network is terrible. Sorry about that. I have to make sure that this network is going to make us to do this today. Can you hear me very well now?
I can hear you okay, Olamide, yes.
I can also
Okay,
hear
I
you.
think we should just okay. Let us go straight to the conversation so that we don't have too much. So first and foremost, thank you again. As we know, the World Wildlife Day is a day that we celebrate nature, and nature is one of the great conversation, a great moment for everybody across the world. And everybody is talking about how they are making sure that they sustain their environment and they make their environment more sustainable for them. So today, I'm going to be I'm going to be engaging two of you on this platform. So I'm going to start with the general question. I want to call on Sean to quickly give us like an introduction and tell us about himself and what he's doing with the youth movement. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Olamide. Well, yeah, I'm the head of climate change and energy for the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, covering West Africa, and I'm based at the British High Commission in Abuja. And as the job title suggests, I'm extremely keen on engaging governments across West Africa, but also importantly, business and civil society, academics, and the general public actually on this global crisis, this twin global crisis we have, climate change and tackling the biodiversity crisis. So that's why I'm here. The position did not exist before August 2019, but I think it's just one indicator that climate change is rising rapidly up the international agenda, and its impacts are felt everywhere, including Nigeria. Over.
Thank, Sean, are you done?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Hello,
I was
Sean.
just doing a brief. Yeah, I was just doing a brief introduction of my role.
Hello, Sean, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you, Olamide.
Hello, Sean.
I can hear you, Professor. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I guess it's Olamide.
Yeah, I think Sean, we've lost Sean in the connection.
I can hear you,
Mark,
Olamide.
can
I
you
think
hear
it's your.
Sean?
I can hear both of you. We're all here.
Okay. I don't seem to hear Sean again.
Yeah, I've stopped talking now. I can hear you fine. I can hear the professor absolutely fine, but maybe there's a problem you hearing me.
Okay. So I think if I'm right, I think Sean, I would like to go to uh, Prof to also give us a little bit of introduction about herself and what she has been doing with the university.
Okay, good morning again. I'm Olajumoke Morenikeji. I'm a lecturer and a researcher in the Department of Zoology, University of Ibadan. I am also the chair for the Pangolin Conservation Guild, Nigeria. So in a nutshell, that is what I do.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for that. And I'm very happy to hear from both of you what you have been doing, what you are doing presently with your government, with your industry, the school, and what the UK government is also what Sean has been doing. Quick one, can I go, Sean? Let me ask. When you hear World Wildlife Day, what comes to your mind? What is your idea of the celebration that the whole world is talking about today?
Yeah, certainly, Olamide. I'll just do a little sound check. Can you hear me okay?
You said?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, Olamide. I was just doing a sound check to make sure that you can
Okay.
hear me
Yes, I
before
can hear you.
continuing. Okay, that's brilliant.
Yes, I can
Well,
hear you.
you know, World Wildlife Day is, clearly about our species, our great species that we have on this planet. But they've chosen, as you know, a slightly different theme. The UN has chosen a slightly different theme this year, including forests and livelihoods, sustaining people and the planet. And I think, as the UN explains itself on its website, this theme has been chosen to highlight the central role of forests, forest species, and ecosystems in sustaining the livelihoods of hundreds of millions of people globally, and particularly of indigenous and local communities with historic ties to forested and forest-adjacent areas. This aligns with the UN Sustainable Development Goals 1, 12 and 15, and their wide-ranging commitments to alleviating poverty, ensuring sustainable use of resources, and on conserving life land. So to that, I would add that wildlife is important, but there's also growing recognition that the ecosystems on which wildlife depends is equally important to protect, promote, and nurture if humanity itself is to thrive. There's abundant evidence of the value of ecosystems-based adaptation. Mangroves, for example, highly important in Nigeria, protect 18 million people from flooding annually. And wetlands and floodplains are equally critical. In addition, forests provide clean water to 1.6 billion people worldwide. Meanwhile, ecosystems such as oceans, peatlands, and forests can directly reduce carbon emissions, mitigating climate change by acting as natural carbon sinks. And healthy ecosystems underpin global food and nutrition security. So the theme for this year's World Wildlife Day, I think, neatly underscores the importance of forests to people, as well as biodiversity. We are not apart from nature. Over.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very much. And I think I will go back to Prof and ask Prof, look at it here of the pangolin as Nigeria. What is your own view coming from the academic side of it? How can you explain it?
Thank you. I didn't hear the question properly because of the break in transmission, but I would like to, I think what you have asked me is why is World Wildlife Day focused on forests and people, if I'm correct. Now, the forests cover nearly a third of all land on Earth. Now, forest is not just about trees. Nearly half known species live in forests, including 80% of biodiversity on land. The tropical rainforest there is especially rich. Insects, worms, they work on nutrients in the soil, bees, birds, keystone species like wolves and big cats, they keep herbivores in check. So the forest is rich is not just about the trees you find in forests. Now, forests pump out oxygen that we need to live, and then it absorbs the carbon dioxide we exhale. So it is a source of quality air. Now, some 300 million people live in forests worldwide, including an estimated 60 million indigenous people whose survival depends almost entirely on native woodlands. Many millions more live near forest fringes. Large forests regulate regional temperatures. Now, there's another way trees will also beat the heat. They absorb carbon dioxide that fuels global warming. Plants always need some carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, but Earth's air is now so thick with extra emissions that forests fight global warming just by breathing. Carbon dioxide is stored in wood, leaves, and soil, often for centuries. Now, a forest root network stabilizes huge amounts of soil,
Hello.
bracing the entire ecosystem's foundation. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you, Professor.
Against like landslides and dust storms. In addition to holding soil in, forests may also use phytoremediation to clean out certain pollutants. Trees can either sequester the toxins away or degrade them to be less dangerous. Now, the trees absorb sewage overflows. They absorb roadside spills. They also absorb contaminated runoff. Now, the trees also absorb a wide range of airborne pollutants, including carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide, in addition to carbon dioxide. Now, in the United States alone, urban trees are estimated to save 850 lives per year and $6.8 billion in total healthcare costs just by removing pollutants from the air. So also, sound fades in forests. So we can say that trees are a popular natural noise absorber. The muffling effect is largely due to rustling leaves plus other woodland white noise like bird songs, and just a few well-placed trees can cut background sound by 5 to 10 decibels, or about 50%, as heard by human ears. Now, the large forests can influence regional weather patterns. They can even create their own microclimates. For example, the Amazon rainforest generates atmospheric conditions that not only promote regular rainfall in the Amazon and in nearby farmland, but potentially as far away as the Great Plains of North America. So we know for sure that large forests influence regional weather patterns. Then tree roots help the ground absorb more of flash flood, reducing soil loss and property damage by slowing the flow. Now, forests are like giant sponges, catching runoff rather than letting it roll across the surface. Now, they can't absorb all of the runoff or all of the water. Water that gets past their roots trickles down into aquifers, replenishing groundwater supplies that are important for drinking, sanitation, and irrigation around the world. Farming near a forest has lots of benefits. Groups of trees can also serve as windbreak, providing a buffer for wind-sensitive crops. And beyond protecting those plants, less wind also makes it easier for bees to pollinate them. These are several and many ways that the forest is so useful to us, and why I think the United Nations has seen it, has deemed it fit this year to focus on the forest. Not only do trees produce fruits, nuts, seeds, and sap, but also edible mushrooms, berries, beetles, to larger game like deer, turkeys, rabbits, and fish. Now, forests also give us many natural medications. About 70% of known plants with cancer-fighting properties occur only in rainforests. However, fewer than 1% of tropical rainforest plants have been tested for medicinal effects. So we still have a long way to go. So the forest is still there for a lot of research. Even just walking in the woods can offer health benefits, including stress relief, reduced blood pressure, and a stronger immune system. This can be due to trees releasing airborne compounds like phytoncides, which prompt our bodies to boost the natural killer cells that attack infections and guard against tumors. I can go on and on. Where would humans be without timber and resin? We've long used these renewable resources to make everything from paper and furniture to homes and clothing. Now, the forest also help in regulation of the, I think I've said that, hydrological cycle. It purifies water, provide wildlife habitats, and they help in reducing global warming and connect humans with nature, just as I have explained. So we depend on forests for our survival, in a nutshell. From the air we breathe to the wood we use, the forest provides habitats for animals and livelihoods for humans and mitigate climate change. So the forests provide a great place for survival for a variety of ecosystems. And we can also see the beauty of the forest when we walk through it. They are also a great place for adventure and sports. So we need the forest, and the forests need us. And the more ancient a forest is, the more efficient it is at taking the excess carbon dioxide humans produce out of the air, hiding some of it away and using the rest to create healthy branches, nutritious fruits, nuts, and even soul-nourishing landscapes. So every time we cut down a forest, we are automatically emitting tons of carbon dioxide. We expose land on which ancient forests once stood that have been storing carbon over thousands of years. That is to say, for every vanishing forest, we lose the most important buffer against climate warming. So forests, just like Franklin Roosevelt said, forests are the lungs of our land, purifying the air and giving fresh strength to our people. Thank you.
Wow, that was I remember back when I was in school, when I always listened to lectures. Thank you so much, Prof. And I hope you can hear me very well. Thank you
Yes,
so
please.
much for giving us that understanding of why the forest is so important to nature and why we need to take care of our forest so that the future will be more sustainable for us. I want to quickly go back to Sean because from what the UK government have been doing when it comes to wildlife, forest, conservation, it has been a very good conversation that things are going to be better. And but we want to also hear from Sean what the UK government have been doing because everybody have been seeing the campaign and the issue of the nature Nigeria for nature. What is that all about, and how is that going to contribute to preserving and conserving the environment for the people and for the planet? Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, thank you so much, Olamide. Yeah, the Nigeria for Nature project that the British High Commission is is funding essentially seeks to support the planting of 5,000 trees in Abuja and in the surrounds of Lagos. I think well done. Tree planting is recognized as one of the most engaging, environmentally friendly activities that people can take part in to better the planet. Trees, as the eminent professor just mentioned, provide a multitude of benefits, both long and short term. As well as being attractive aesthetically, they remove and store carbon from the atmosphere, slow heavy rain, and so reduce the risk of flooding. And trees also enhance air quality and improve the urban heat island effect by reflecting sunlight and providing shade. In addition, trees greatly benefit the people living around them by having a positive impact on mental health and well-being, reducing stress and encouraging outdoor exercise. And this in addition to those benefits that people receive, there is improved environmental quality and improved amenity that comes with planted areas. Trees also, of course, create wildlife habitat, can provide food, such as mangoes, increase pollinator numbers, and benefit soil conditions. Now, in the grand scheme of things, 5,000 trees is not a lot of trees, given the destruction, unfortunately, going on elsewhere. But in my view, the ultimate value of tree planting is not the things I've just mentioned, important though they are, but the fact that it can build community spirit and unity, educates communities about the benefits of trees and nature, galvanizes others, particularly the youth, to do whatever they can to protect, promote, and restore nature. And to this end, the project, the scheme, will benefit everybody. Tree planting is just one of the things we are supporting through the Nigeria for Nature campaign. We are also supporting numerous recycling initiatives. And just last week, as you know, Olamide, we hosted a webinar to bring together the public and the private sector to boost collaboration on nature-based solutions. And I think key themes to emerge from that webinar were, one, the need for constant vigilance and better methods of monitoring protected areas. Secondly, the centrality of sustainable livelihoods to any successful nature-based solution campaign. The imperative to engage traditional leaders and women's groups. The urgent need to expand clean cooking, solar or LPG to reduce deforestation. Education and sensitization on the environment, including through schools, needs to be scaled up. And private sector engagement almost invariably also leads to better outcomes for sustainable management of nature. And the webinar last week also touched upon the significant but largely untapped potential of the blue economy, including Nigeria's waters and in the Gulf of Guinea. So there's a lot going on. We have other programs as well, apart from the Nigeria for Nature program. We have the Green Recovery Challenge Fund, which is open to NGOs and open to entrepreneurs to submit bids to protect and restore nature and for nature-based solutions. And the second theme for the Green Recovery Challenge Fund is to support clean energy transition. We've just had one round, but there's another round of grants for up to £500,000 for the best ideas, and that will start hopefully in September in Nigeria and be specific for Nigeria. And then very excitingly, hopefully in April or May this year, the UK government will launch the Blue Planet Fund, which, as its name suggests, is about protecting our seas, our oceans, our waterways. Mangroves could be part of that. And that's an exciting fund and I hope Nigeria and West Africa benefits from that. As I say, hopefully that will launch in the spring later this year. Over.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sean. That was very, very, informative, and I'm very sure that a lot of people hearing us now will be able to understand that the UK government is ready to work with a lot of people, and they're also ready to invest and help the government to improve our nature, the restoration of our nation, our country. I want to go back quickly to Prof. Because of the academic side of Prof. I want you to also let us understand, in your own view, like in your closing remark, what do you think the government should start looking at in making sure that our environment, our forest is being protected? Because we understand that a lot of things are going on concerning the trade issues, concerning a lot of people, violating the rules of the government or the people. What do you think the government should do when it comes to policies, when it comes to enforcement in the issue of wildlife? And can you also give us an example of what your association have been doing to making sure that the environment is more conducive for everyone? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. It's amazing to know what the UK government is doing and is planning to do for the environment, especially in Nigeria. That's amazing and very commendable. I've said so many things that the forest is good for, and why we cannot do away with the forest. Because if the forest should leave us, then we will not be here to see the consequences, because we will go with it. So the forest is very important. As important as the forest is, and as beneficial as the forest is, we know that humans now clear millions of acres from natural forests every year, especially in the tropics in Nigeria. So deforestation is threatening some of the Earth's most valuable ecosystems. We take the forest for granted, okay, underestimating how indispensable they are for everyone on the planet. And the forests are disappearing. They are disappearing. So I'm really happy to hear what the UK government is doing and all the planting of trees. Protecting the world's forests should be our very first priority in fighting issues like global warming, climate change, and so on and so forth. Because as I have said, the forests are critical to life on Earth. And more than 1.6 billion people rely on forests to some extent for their livelihoods, according to the United Nations. 10 million are directly employed in forest management or conservation, and forests contribute about 1% of the global gross domestic product through timber production and non-timber products. So the latter alone supports up to 80% of the population in many developing countries. We know that the major causes of deforestation are agriculture, unsustainable forest management, mining, infrastructure projects, increased fire incidences, and these are increasing in intensity. Deforestation and forest degradation can happen in a blink of an eye, as it happened during the Australia's bushfire. That is the worst in its history. Now, we also clear the forest to make space for cows. We're in Nigeria, whose meat we want to consume, or to make way for palm oil plantations. Forests can also die naturally. As temperatures are rising, rising temperatures caused by human-made climate change test their ability to absorb carbon dioxide. Now, another effect of deforestation is an increase in the spread of life-threatening diseases, such as malaria, dengue fever, and so on and so forth. And a growing body of scientific evidence actually shows that the felling of tropical forests creates optimal conditions for the spread of mosquito-borne scourges, including malaria and dengue. Primates and other mammals are also spreading disease from cleared forests to people. So it is actually a pity that humans have disconnected their everyday life from the reality of nature. For wildlife, because I am into wildlife conservation, the following threats have affected the forest habitat of wildlife, of pangolins, because I do a lot of work with pangolins, and they're just one of the many kinds of wildlife that we have in Nigeria. Timber exploitation resulting in deforestation, urban development, road and oil pipeline construction, and shifting agricultural practice. All these threats have continued with very little success in forest conservation efforts, because we're going to what the government should do. Okay, so the implication is that there is probably no habitat for pangolins, for wildlife left in Nigeria that has not witnessed one form of human disturbance or the other. And for the pangolin that I work with, these threats they are coupled with the intercontinental trade at the scale it is occurring right now. And this is perceived to have the potential to drive the remaining pangolins or pangolin population to extinction. That is, if urgent attention and urgent multi-pronged approaches are not employed. Okay, so we have a history of getting carried away, leading to overuse of the forest and deforestation. But there's still time to do something. There's a way we can strike a balance between forest use for our livelihoods and conserving them. So what do we do before we go to what the government should do? Some of the things I will mention, the government is also supposed to do them. But as individuals, we can also do so, just like the UK government is doing, planting trees, okay? Number one is reforestation. Now, this is sustainable yield method, or we can say this sustainable yield method requires that every tree that gets cut down must be replanted. So also, any tree that gets burned down due to forest fires or mining activities must also get replanted. Now, this may be done by natural or artificial methods. In a rugged terrain, for instance, aerial seeding is the method of choice. They do this in Israel a lot. That's one way, reforestation. We have to plant, we have to replant trees. As we remove the trees from the forest, we replant. Then there's afforestation. New plantations will increase the forest cover, and we also help in making up the eco balance. For the afforestation, the selection of trees should be made according to local geographical conditions. That's another way. Then we have sustained yield method. Now, this technique is adopted by many countries. It is regulated cutting. Only 1/10 of the forest area is selected for use, and the rotational system is always followed for their protection. Now, the time gap between these cuttings is helpful in the regrowth of trees. The forest is managed in such a way that a timber crop may be harvested indefinitely year after year without being depleted. That is if you have sustained yield method, a technique that is adopted by many countries, and it regulates cutting. Then we have the monitor agriculture. That is, many forested areas are cleared to make room for agricultural lands. So most of the present day agricultural land they were once forested and then cleared for the use of agriculture, but now they have reached the stage where further clearance will be dangerous for the entire ecosystem. So that should be limited. There are tribes in some parts of Asia, Africa, and South America where shifting cultivation is still a part of their system. Then number 4 is to protect existing forest. Now, in addition to the threats that humans pose for forests, they're also endangered by parasitic fungi, viruses, nematodes. So these all destroy trees. So an effort should be made to administer chemical sprays or some other treatment in order to destroy the parasites and protect the existing forest. Then we should produce less waste. A shocking amount of wood gets wasted when trees are cut down. I was able to see firsthand the cutting down or the logging going on in Omo Forest Reserve. And I saw that apart from logging, a lot of wood was wasted. The rest is simply thrown away when it could be used for other purposes. Then there's also the full utilization of forest and forest products. Trees are cut for logs, and the rest, including the stump, branches, the foliage, they are left worthless, like worthless debris. Further waste occurs at the sawmills. And you see, most of these things, or this waste material and products, can be used for other things, like it's done in other countries, like for waterproof glues, for so many other things, instead of just wasting them away. Then we must raise awareness through tourism. Forests could become popular tourist destinations. Now, this will give the forest more value and then more protection. It will also improve the local economy. Okay, the tourists that come to such areas will spend their money there. So poorer communities will no longer have to cut down trees for a living, because their area will now become a tourist center, a tourist attraction where money is coming in. So what will the government do? Okay, the government, they will have to pass acts that will like legislations, passing acts that will sort of like require conservation efforts. Then they can also survey the forest resources to prevent overusing the resources. They can also make sure that we have reserved forest areas. I know we already have some in Nigeria, and most of these reserved areas are actually on paper. They are on paper, okay? Because a lot of logging, a lot of destruction, a lot of activities are going on in these reserved areas. Then the government can find out which areas or which forests require reforestation. And they can also regulate and improve upon the commercial use of forest products. They can also help us to protect the forests from fire, from mining, and other threats. Okay, and they can also develop national parks. We have quite a number of national parks in Nigeria. Okay, and these kind of parks need a lot of money to function properly. So for forest fires, there are natural disasters that we can really do nothing about. Fires from nature, through lightning or trees rubbing against each other, which we can do really nothing about. But most of the fires are man-made, are due to human negligence, okay? And there are ways we can actually help. For example, you're a smoker, you don't throw your cigarette on the ground. And then we maintain our electricity wires properly. These are simple ways. Now, for an average person, what can you do to protect the forest? Very simple. Stop printing, for instance. Now, when we print, we use a lot of paper, and paper comes from the forest. The less you print, the less paper is used. Trees are cut down for paper. Let's also have this at the back of our minds, okay? And then we can use double-sided paper. If you need to print at all, print on both sides of the page. Then you can go digital with all the things you need to check on paper, like your bills. It can be sent to you by mails and so on and so forth. And then there's another thing I read about bamboo paper. Bamboo is easily sustainable and it grows to maturity within 5 years. So we can shift to bamboo paper, okay? And just as we advocate that we shift to digital books. Now, some people are bent on reading books. They love to read books. You can use the library. If you still prefer to read the real thing, then you can borrow books, read from the library instead of buying new ones. Okay? And then we can read all our magazines on the net or online. Okay? We can switch our cards to e-cards, for instance, just to make sure that we are protecting the forest. Then we can reuse gift bags. I know some people who carry their cloth bag to supermarkets, so they don't collect the takeaway bags from the supermarkets, because it's also telling on the forest. Okay, we use everything that has to do with paper. We should try to avoid. Okay, avoid paper towels, avoid paper cutlery, paper. I mean, all sorts of things that has to do with paper. Just use alternatives. Okay, switch from paper napkins to cloth napkins. Use cloth diapers, for instance. Okay, so that we can help the forest to thrive, to grow, so that it can support our system. We need the forest seriously to support our living. If we remove the forest, it will be very difficult for us to continue to live. We won't even be here to see the consequences. So these are some of the things we can do. Education is key. We must educate others, because some people are just ignorant. It's not that just ignorant, they do not know. So when I say there's a need for awareness, somebody said, why, what do you mean awareness? Yeah, there's a need for a lot of awareness. When people know, they behave differently. Okay, but we see that very few people are concerned about the need to preserve the forest. Why? For example, let's take the Nigerian example, for instance. Nigeria has a total land area of 10,768 kilometers square. And the forests in Nigeria have over 500 tree species. Now, among these species, we have the Iroko tree, we have the Mansonia, we have the mahogany, Afara, all those kind of trees. These, big time trees. Now, Nigeria has experienced a heavy decline in forest cover. The forest is subjected to intense intrusion, vegetation degradation, de-reservation, and for agricultural use. Now, industrialization and urban development. So according to the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, it was reported that Nigeria has less than 10% forest cover or coverage, with only 20,000 hectares primary forests. So we have lost like about 95% of our forest coverage to a high rate of deforestation. So the loss of forest cover means ultimate destruction of agricultural production, ultimate destruction of the climate and living conditions. Now, why are people not concerned? Why is nobody talking about this? Because Nigerians do not regard natural forest as an adequate use of land. They feel if there's a natural forest somewhere, it should be used. No, that is not how it is supposed to be. They also regard themselves as natural owners of land and can do with the land whatever they like. And also we know that in Nigeria, there's inadequate regulations and sometimes uncontrollable exploitation or illegal logging pose a great danger to the forest industry and to forest. Now, these are the issues. So there's a lot we can do as individuals. There's a lot the government can do to protect our forests. And in the words of someone, I will just read why people are nonchalant. Because we're trying to call attention this morning or today, World Wildlife Day, which has to do with protecting forests, where we get our livelihood. There is a need to sensitize people, and that's what we're trying to do. To look inwards and see that there's no need to destroy everything before the future comes. Now, most people think I won't be here in the future. So, just let me do what I need to do. Let me get what I need to get and let the future take care of itself. That is selfish. Now, in the words of somebody, Cheryl Teague, I will read what he said. As far as we have come as a species, there's still so much we have to work on. We're still figuring out how to avoid war, how to manage resources for our population, how to make laws that benefit everybody and disenfranchise as few people as possible. There's still the struggle of making sure our populations don't go hungry, that everyone has housing and transportation to get to work, that we keep the lights on and the heat running and the gas tanks full. There's so much to worry about right now that caring for the future is a hobby. The future is something we deal with if we have time. That's somebody's idea of what the future, how you handle the future. If nobody is hungry, if we have money left over after keeping a military large enough to keep our enemies think twice, or repairing the roads that transport the food we need to eat tomorrow, sometimes that means a sacrifice in more emissions than we do like, more forests disappearing than we do like, a country that has to decide on taking care of its people or endangering a species, or a country that has to divert a river to make way for farmland. It's not that people don't care, it's just that there's so much else to care about right now to make sure that there's that to make sure that there's someone to be there in the future. I mean, that's somebody's way of looking at the future. And this is totally wrong. There's a need for us to provide for the future right now, if there's going to be a future at all. And that is by protecting the forest. As we take our livelihood from it, there's a need to sustain it. There's a need to protect it. There's a need to rejuvenate it. There's a need to make sure that it is still supporting us so that we can continue to live and thrive, and so that our children and the generations unborn can have a good place to come and can live well in the future. So there's a need to protect the pangolins. The pangolins are going extinct because of human activities, because of poaching, illegal trading. And what we're doing is trying to conserve them. We rescue them, we rehabilitate them, and then we release them into protected forest areas. We hope we continue to find protected forest areas as the way the world is going. So this is our plea. This is our gospel. Please let us protect the forest so that it continues to be useful to us. Let us sustain it so that we can continue to find it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. I think one of the lines I've been able to get here is that we should make protecting our environment, protecting our forest should be an hobby. And I think is one of the great conversation that as a citizen and as a actor to champion World Wildlife Day, we need to start looking at our protecting our environment as a very big issue, because we need to protect it now so that the coming generation will also be able to enjoy the nature and enjoy the environment. I want to quickly, as we know that Prof have been able to share a lot of points and a lot of key with us. I will call on Sean to also talk briefly about the Dasgupta review. And I think that's something that a lot of, from there, we now start the rounding up by giving us your recommendation and your parting word. Thank you very much, Sean.
Yeah, thank you, Olamide. I will just be brief. It's a real tour de force by the professor there, and I agree with everything that the professor said. Essentially, she was emphasizing the importance of the circular bioeconomy. I mean, we all lead busy lives, and those living in towns and cities in particular can become disconnected with nature. Rural people tend to value nature more, but grinding poverty and a lack of alternative livelihoods, as we know, can lead to unsustainable practices such as cutting down trees for firewood or cooking. But what I wanted to point out was last month, an eminent economist, Professor Dasgupta, published an independent and very comprehensive review on the economics of biodiversity. And for anyone interested in nature, I urge them to read it. The review's starting point is that our economies, livelihoods, and well-being all ultimately rely on nature. The review, however, argues that mainstream economic thinking ignores what we know about how ecosystems function and how they are affected by economic activity. Many ecosystems, like tropical rainforests or coral reefs, are already, unfortunately, degraded beyond repair. Others may be close to a tipping point. And in the absence of urgent action, this would be costly and difficult, possibly impossible, to reverse, and it could have catastrophic impacts on our economies and our well-being. Now, currently, the equivalent of 1.6 Earths would be needed to meet humanity's aggregate demands on a sustainable basis. Sadly, Nigeria has lost a forested area twice the size of London every year between 1990 and 2016. That's a lot of forest. But it doesn't have to be this way. The opportunities, including the economic ones, are vast. And every dollar invested in nature generates up to $6 in returns. And Costa Rica, for example, has doubled its forest size while its economy has tripled and its population has doubled. So it can be done. I was really pleased to learn recently that Nigeria has developed a policy framework to support ecosystem-based services so that nature is better valued, and that Nigeria plans to create 10 additional national parks as well as marine protected areas for the first time. Globally, nature-based solutions to climate change receive just 2% of climate finance. It's not enough. So seeking to reverse this trend, the UK will spend 30% of its entire climate finance on nature-based solutions, and we are urging others to make similar pledges. Olamide, thank you so much for having me on this show. I am now handing over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me very well, right?
Yes, it's much better. The second half of this webinar has been much clearer. I can hear you.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, Sean. I just want to use this remaining to request. I want to use this 3 minutes to request for your parting word as we celebrate and we commemorate our World Wildlife Day. So, Prof, what is your parting?
Thank you. Thank you very much. At the end of the day, the only way that we can combat deforestation is by joining together and raising awareness. So if everyone on Earth, if we all decide to start caring about our forests today, the problem will be solved. So do not be one of the people that is ignorant or simply do not care. Rather, fight to save our planet, fight to protect the forest. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Olumide.
Yeah. For me, Olamide, it's difficult to beat what the professor just said, but I think it's important that people don't think that climate change is someone else's problem. It's everybody's problem, and everybody can play their part in tackling climate change and environmental degradation more broadly. So I think people are starting to come together. I think COP26, the UN Climate Change Conference in the UK in November, will be another seminal moment. I think the collaboration has improved, but the key now, as ever, if we are to save nature, to save the planet, to save ourselves, is turning all this good intent into climate action. So that's my final word, Olamide, and thank you again for having me on the show.
Yo, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very much, Prof. I'm very happy because we've been able to also listen and learn about what the UK government is doing and how they want to contribute their quota in helping Nigeria as well to make sure that our environment is being sustainable and we'll be able to protect our forests. And I want to also appreciate Prof for giving us that lovely lecture on why the people, the government, and individual can also contribute their own quota in making sure that they take responsibility in protecting nature. And like what you said again, Prof, from the paper you read out, you also mentioned that protecting nature, protecting environment should be an hobby. And I also want to urge all our speakers, all our you to everyone for joining us today. A big thank you to Sean, a big thank you to Prof, and I look forward to have you some other time. Sorry for the internet disruption. This is Nigeria for us, but I'm very sure that as time goes on, we'll be able to have more conversation on how to protect nature and how to make sure that our environment is more sustainable for everyone. Thank you very much, and I hope to have you some other time. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Olamide. Thank you.
Thank you.